Hour. Well, it's top of the hour, and we're about to bust out a new edition of Orange and Blue Blood Thursday. I am Buddy Martin. The program is aired every Thursday night, of course, as you know, Monday through Thursday, right here on this channel. Come and join us. We have some interesting participants. Our usual Sterling panel from Orange and Blue Blood Thursdays will be on the program momentarily, so stand by. It's coming your way. Tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show and the Orange and Blue Blood Thursday program is on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to a robust lineup for Orange and Blue Blood Thursday. Ben Troop is even here on time. He got the link. I can't wait to talk to Big Ben. He'll be joining us just a moment. It's going to be a good program tonight. This is Orange and Blue Blood Thursday. Spring ball starts Saturday. What are your expectations? We're laying ours out there tonight with the panel, telling you what the best storylines are. We all know what the quarterback situation. Come and join us. Participate. You can log in and comment, as so you have already done this fine evening. Boy, it's kind of warm around here. David Hunter, my friend from North County. First in tonight, David. Welcome. David Baldoff, Gene McLean, Dan Bond, Roger Burns. Roger, it's good to hear from you. And Dan Bond. So we're going to do this one right to the sponsor, Titan MRI. And then it's time for Ben Troop coming next right here on the Orange and Blue Bloods.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks, Jeff Cardoza. And it's promised right to the Orange and Blue room, where he always demands to have caviar and champagne and waiting for him before he come on the program as part of his contract. Got the hat. He's on time. He's here. Hello, Benny. How you doing?
I'm always good. I'm always just watching some of my Florida boys at the combine, trying to tear it up. So just trying to keep my cheerleader pom-poms going, cheering for those guys.
Yeah,
I'm cheering for all the guys
Yep.
at the combine, but my Florida boys in particular.
Well, we can't especially forget our buddy Gervon, who was really good to us on the program. That sight of that big guy chugging down that, I saw the time at the combine today. It's a beast if I ever saw one.
Calais Campbell, former Miami Hurricane, long time NFL player with Arizona, the Jags, I think now with the Ravens. He's at the combine, and they're similar in size. I think Calais is like 6'8", so there is a person that's actually bigger than Javon. I think Javon's like 6'6", 6'7". But he said, "Hey man, I'm really impressed by the Dexter kid from Florida." He said, "I became a fan today." Listen, what was he? 6'6", 6'7", 310, 4'8", 840, 4'8". Hey, man, listen, I know Javon lost his dad a month before his first game in the swamp. I know he's a father now, but I know his dad shining. I mean, just looking down on his slide.
Yeah.
He made himself a lot. He made himself a lot of money before today, but he definitely made himself some money today. Most definitely.
He did, and he couldn't have no better guy. We were happy for Javon, and we have a lot to cover. Saturday being the very first day of spring ball, which is always good. This year, a few more questions than usual, but certainly intriguing. And we talked about it with our panel and with you too, Ben, earlier today. What are the leading storylines? And there are some good ones. But we got lots to talk about tonight. Just a couple of notes I wanted to say. RIP to the folks in Charlotte. Jerry Richardson died. He's the owner of at one time, the Charlotte franchise in North Carolina. And he's a former player. People forget he was a player too. And so all the best to his family out there. And boy, I tell you, I don't get off track very often. That Murdaugh trial was riveting, and the conviction tonight of Murtaugh and that whole deal was a really kind of amazing moment for people in South Carolina. Off track just for a minute. Now, on to you, Ben, and let's talk about. There's a story that I think is interesting. I've been hearing rumblings about this, and I'm hearing more rumblings tonight. FSU and Clemson very unhappy in the ACC. Now, that's subcontinent not too far from where you live, and when you did Radio Live, you talked about those programs. What are you hearing about that? They're not happy with what's going on with the TV package and a bunch of other stuff. A little rumbling going on there.
Yeah, I think the main thing, buddy, when it comes to Florida State and Clemson is they're looking at the landscape, what's going on around them. They know that we're a couple of years from Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, and they're looking at how it's like Clemson is saying we don't get treated like Alabama get treated in the SEC, or Clemson or Ohio State get treated in the Big Ten. Florida State is saying, look, while we're not what we used to be in the early 90s and early 2000s, we're still one of the big brands in the ACC that's kind of keeping it nationally relevant.
Yeah. And
I think what they're really saying, buddy, is without saying it, I think they might be sick of being in the ACC, because now I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means they're trying to come over to the SEC or become a part of the because the thing about the ACC that's different than the SEC has they got big city teams: Miami, Tallahassee, Chapel Hill. SEC has like rural town, Gainesville, Athens, Auburn. They got techs over there like Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. So I knew this was gonna happen though, for two reasons. Dabo Swinney wants to get the same kind of respect as a Kirby Smart, as a Nick Saban, as a Jim Harbaugh or whatever, and he's not, because somebody said this, buddy. At one point, Clemson was a perennial college football playoff contender. That goes away. Now they still holding up the ACC, but it ain't like it used to be. And I don't know what's gonna happen, but I knew that there was gonna be some rumblings coming out of Florida State and Clemson. I thought it would be Clemson first, then Florida State, but like I said, buddy, you know how it is when it comes to these schools. Now, Florida State don't got the money and the infrastructure that a lot of these other schools do, unfortunately. But I just think right now, buddy, they're looking at what's going on at the Floridas. They're looking at what's going on, and I'm just talking about from an infrastructure type thing and the money that's being given out. The big reason why Jimbo Fisher left to go to Texas A&M was because Florida State couldn't afford to pay him, just couldn't afford it. So it's probably going to end up being much to do about nothing. But buddy, this is the time to where you got to get your headlines. When everything is kind of died down, we just got the USFL, XFL Combine, NBA playoffs about to start. Or what NBA? I want NCAA playoffs, March Madness. They're trying to get their ink in the paper. I don't know what's going to come from it, because unfortunately, Florida State has had their best year in the last 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So I don't know what to make of it. I do know this. Florida State and Clemson are saying, if we're going to be, quote, if Florida State is going to keep winning 9 games, which I don't know if that's going to happen, but if they're going to be consistent, because Clemson is, if Florida State is the second best team in the ACC, and Clemson is obviously the best, who's the third best? Who's the fourth best? Because you talk about a conference, buddy, that don't got a lot of big name equity teams. Wake Forest.
Well, North Carolina. They got.
Okay, you got. I give you North Carolina. I give you Virginia Tech, maybe even Virginia, right? Yeah. A Wake Forest and a Boston College is not, and a Duke is not going to be as sexy as a Miami, as a Georgia. Now Georgia Tech is sexy because of tradition and location, but they've been bad as of late too, real bad. So like I said, Florida State, Clemson making the headlines, buddy. We'll see what comes from it. But Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, is the most powerful man in college sports. It is not even close. And I'm pretty sure he's fielded all the calls he don't feel. Sorry, we got him coming from Norman, Oklahoma. We got him coming from Austin, Texas, and we're not fielding any more calls. Sorry.
There you go. There goes to ask a good question. Can they join the Pac-12? Anybody can join anything, but
yeah, I think the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 will take anybody at this point.
Yeah, they're bailing from the Pac-12. I don't think you want to be going there. And it's interesting. I don't want to say I'm a prophet, but I've been talking about this for a lot of years. How this super conference was going to happen, and there are going to be regional divisions, etc. And they're going to play it down for a national championship. And in a way, I hate it because it means a lot of the tradition in college sports are going to go by the by. But even this new schedule coming up, if they play 9 conference games, the scheduling, which I don't quite understand just yet, is going to kind of eliminate some of these great rivalries. Now you got to talk about, okay, who's going to be your regular rivals? Well, you got to, some of them are automatic, but on the other hand, there are going to be some games, traditional SEC games we've all enjoyed, they're going to go away. And I'm not for continually stripping tradition from college football. We got enough going on right now. But it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks because it's the golden rule. Them that got the gold are ruling. That's what's happening. And so TV is wagging the big dog. So, all right, enough of that stuff. Let's talk ball. There's so much going on today in legalese and IL. So we're going to actually get a chance to talk a little bit of football. The Florida Gators are undertaking spring ball starting on Saturday. Remember your first spring training?
Oh my God, I do, buddy. All I will say about spring is this: while you looking forward to show the coaches, hey man, I had a full fall season. I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, here come that weight room, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened to the? Listen, that's when Rob Glass, the great Rob Glass, who went to Oklahoma State, coached Barry Sanders, coached Tim Tebow, coached Danny Warfel. All I know is this. I've never hurt so much in my life. Like, yes, your body is changing. Listen, they say you're going from popcorn muscles to real muscles. You're going from baby milk to vitamin D milk. It's time to get right, buddy. But it gives you a different level of appreciation for the game of football because you finna earn it. Like, when people see how consistent certain players are, they don't slouch nowhere. They don't slouch in the weight room. They don't slouch in the practice field. They don't slouch in the film room. They don't slouch in the training room. And for me, I had to learn in the spring, how do I catch the eye of Steve Spurrier? How do I catch the eye of that dude? And it's hard to do. It really, really was. But I remember hyperextending my knee a little bit. I came down on Keywan Ratliff. My foot came down on the top of his foot, so I couldn't extend it. I remember thinking, oh, man, I'm going to miss a spring game. Coach Spurrier said, oh, no, you're not. Take him over there, drain his knee. We'll see you tomorrow. It's like, oh, you ain't – it's you're going to do 2 things in the spring. You either gonna fall in love with the game again or it's going to pass you by. You won't get a – because a lot of people, buddy, you notice, watch that transfer portal after the spring. And I'm not saying for Florida, but just watch it. Because guys are realizing, if I'm not a part of the game plan in the spring, it's not going to just happen in the summer and the fall. It doesn't just – and I know we're going to make it all about the quarterbacks, but we got some storylines I think going to come out this spring.
Yeah,
it's going to be really tricky.
Yeah, we had a little discussion today online with our guys, and we said, give us some of your top storylines. And, Ben, you whipped out 3 in a hurry, which we can share. Everybody knows the main one. That's the quarterback situation. We don't know a lot about Graham Mertz. We have a little profile Kyle Curtis has put together tonight for the Mars Gator Bait, kind of just sort of finding out who he is, where he came from. And I didn't know he went to a year for Wisconsin. What's that little small school up there? Whitewater, whatever it is. Anyway, we're learning about this guy. We're learning more about these people. And the storylines are going to be developing before our very eyes. My column is done. I did it tonight. It's Al's posted. And basically it's, okay, here we go again. It's time to have a scavenger hunt for a quarterback. I mean, think about what we've done over these years. That's what it's been. And by the way, as I said, Jim McElwain's dog is not the answer. Remember when he said he'd be the quarterback? So the point being that we all know that we're going to see what quarterback are we going to get, and we're going to see what Mertz is about, and want to see if it's everything he's advertised. And then the identity of this team. Brendan was talking today about, remember they put the tape on the helmet and they put your name on it when you first start playing?
Yeah.
Almost need to do that to this team this spring because there's so many new players. And of all the projects in there and things that it's going to be see how good a coach people like Rob Sale and Darnell Stapleton are, because that whole offensive line's got to be replaced, and we know what's coming. Going to be more the run game. So this is what my column's about. The annual search, well, not annual, the search for quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson is gone.
Yep.
He ain't coming back. And to think about this, and I've whined about it to the point where people are tired of me saying it. The fact is to have had a quarterback in here who, by the way, may be the number one pick overall. Okay? I'm not saying he's the best player, but the facts are he may be the number one player. That he never got to suit up again one more time is just criminal, because I would love to have seen that guy in the uniform one more time. But we'll see. Your thoughts?
I mean, buddy, it's hard to compare anything to Anthony Richardson. I'm gonna tell you why. Buddy, he's such a rare commodity, right? Yes, I'm biased because he went to my alma mater. I get that part. But size, check. Athleticism, check. Arm strength, check. Ability to improvise. It's hard to compare him to anybody because we got used to him doing things that were abnormal. First game of the year, the scramble, 60-something yards? People don't do that. Then he did it against LSU. Then he did it against Texas A&M. Now, he has some times that, some head scratches. But this is the difference. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Will Levis. You know what these guys got in common? They've been in the same system for multiple years. This guy, Anthony Richardson, first year. When they said they graded out the quarterbacks, buddy, this is analysts, right? They said he graded out number one in most, number two in the rest. This kid, for 1 year, for a run-heavy offense, and let's face it, yes, Pearsall was his number one receiver, but did he have a bunch of receivers that were putting up big numbers? No. But I think what he was able to do against Florida State, you down all your receivers except Pearsall, you complete 9 passes, and you lose by a touchdown. So Anthony Richardson, I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But listen, this Graham Mertz kid, I'm gonna tell you this. I keep on saying this. Tennessee had their best year in 10 years? Hendon Hooker, transfer. 2019, LSU had their best year in years. What did Joe Burrow? Transfer. So all I know is these transfer quarterbacks, you give them a couple of years, they got a shot. This is the difference, though. Graham Mertz is coming from a system to where he got beat out. Doesn't mean he's not a good enough quarterback. Let's see what he does with a running game, with a retooled offensive line. We're still trying to figure out who these receivers are going to be. But, buddy, I know this. I know that Billy Napier and the staff, offensive staff, they know talent, man. They didn't just snatch him out the air. Mm-hmm. This kid chose to go to Wisconsin because this thing, Alabama wanted him. There's a bunch of teams in the SEC wanted this kid, but he wanted to go somewhere where he could play. I did that when I was coming out. I mean, you got to look at the depth chart and see, hey, man, I want to play. Yes, I want to go to this school, but I want to play. So I think the quarterback position, I think is good for this reason here. Whenever the quarterbacks dominate the headlines, the other players can go out there and play. They don't got to worry about the same level of scrutiny. But let's not look past this Jack Miller kid, man. Don't look past him. He had to deal with injuries. So now you got 2 capable quarterbacks. That's going to make it better for everybody. I remember going into my senior year, it was Engel, Martin, and Chris Lee. So because we didn't know who was going to be who, coach was telling us, listen, man, y'all job is to develop a rapport with whomever's going to be in there. It ended up being Chris as the year went on, but I think it's going to be good, buddy. Like I said, it's 0-0. Nobody's played in the game. Brand new defensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator said, hey, I'm going to adjust to y'all. Y'all won't have to adjust to me. It's much easier for one guy to have to adjust to the group than the group have to adjust to one guy. And he says it's going to be real similar to what y'all did. It's going to be some nuances, but I'm looking forward to seeing it, buddy, because like I said, unfortunately, when you go to Florida, no one cares. I don't care that you got 2 brand new quarterbacks. I don't care that you got a new D coordinator. You got to find a wide receivers coach. I think Corey Raymond coaching the entire safety, that's huge. Because now it's one voice. Because if Patrick Toney was coaching the safeties, and obviously Corey Raymond was coaching the corners, now you get one voice. Hey, fellas, I'm getting the whole DB group. I think that's sensational by Billy Napier making that. But I don't know if we got a wide receivers coach yet. I've heard Ike Hilliard. I've heard Dallas making a touchdown maker. Just pick somebody. Because to me, it's the University of Florida. You know how many people love the coach here? Don't make it hard. Go give a young, hotshot wide receiver coach a chance to come here. Because like you say, buddy, here it is Thursday. It's going to be awkward because whoever you bring in got to learn the playbook on the fly while he learns the players. But, hey, man, that's why they play Billy Napier the big bucks to go out there and make it happen.
Well, there's an air of expectation. There's a little bit of fright in the air, obviously concerned about what's going to happen because we don't know what the unknown is. But there's also an excitement about this newness and to see some of these guys play and what an experience is going to be to see that. And I'm really happy for that part. Defensive coordinator, Austin Armstrong, we're finding out about him. We don't know much. But you're preaching from my hymnal on Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond was the architect of DBU at LSU. He was the guy who produced all those great backs. He came here and he sort of shared duties with Tony, although Tony was a coordinator. I wasn't all that impressed with how the safeties played, but what do I know? I thought Corey Raymond is a good recruiter. You're right. If they can unify that and he's the voice on that defense in the secondary, and they got to get that front seven together. They got some work cut out. I don't know about these linebackers yet. A lot we don't know, but that I think Corey Raymond in the secondary and the corners and him coaching both positions is a smart move, and there's potential there, and this team could be decent back there.
It is. I mean, look, we know what the task is, right? Like a lot of times when people be talking about what does it mean to go to the University of Florida, look, man, you got to be able to deal with controversy and handle it with a smile. No one's gonna care. No one's gonna care. Oh, no one's gonna say, hey, before Florida plays Team X, remember they just got a new D coordinator. They got to redo their linebackers. They got a D line. So that's the Gators. Go do it. Go make it happen. Because what happens is people are going to talk about the Patrick Toney and the tight end coach and obviously Colbert and going to Denver. Look, man, Florida is a freaking catapult to the rest of your career. You don't think people watching what's going on? You don't think people are looking? So that just let us know that you don't got to win national championships for people to be scouting your coaches. Yes, they are. And Patrick Toney is not going to be the defensive coordinator in Arizona, but it is rough. He's 32 years old, right? He was the D coordinator at the University of Florida. That's a lot of scrutiny. That's a lot. So I think that, buddy, like I said, I'm looking forward to it because it's a clean slate for everybody. Everybody's retooling.
I like that.
If we're at another school, we're talking about what they're doing and retooling.
Right.
But guess what? Billy Napier, this is why they pay you $7.1 million, man. This is why they gave you the money you wanted for your staff. You got to get it done.
You got the new facility, got all that stuff, and you got it all.
2023, no mulligans. The first year is done. Mm-hmm. And we go, and in a sense, because you don't got Superman at quarterback, you're gonna get to see what this offense is really gonna look like. Because when you got a guy like Anthony Richardson, you call plays strictly for him, because he can do it. Now with Montreal, with Etienne, with the guys we got coming in, with Webb and the kid we got from Memphis, I think we'll be fine in the run game because it sets it up for the pass game. But like you said, buddy, linebackers, you're replacing a lot, man. Ventrell and Amari Burney, that's a lot. I mean, who's gonna take over Brenton Cox's side, even though he was gone after the Georgia game? Can Princely step up? Who's gonna play safety? We know who we got at corner. Who's gonna play? That's what the spring is for. You get some unknowns to become known. Go from being on the radar to being a guy that can be pivotal. But hey, man, that's why we do what we do.
Ben, I think I'm hearing a little excitement in your voice tonight.
All the time.
You must have some inside information or something, man.
Because, buddy, it's like this. No, it's. I guess because I went through there and I understand. I tell people this all the time. What you think is harder to do? Billy Neighbor try to live up to the expectations, or I'm coming in playing with Steve Spurrier's offense. People think they know what pressure is. Dude, he didn't even throw us the ball at tight end. But guess what? We better be where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be there.
And you better not drop it when you get one thrown to you.
And the thing is, buddy, you come into a system that's a well-oiled machine already. Steve Spurrier is the biggest, brightest, brilliantest coach, if brilliantest is a word.
I like it. It works. Yeah.
Football. So if I'm coming on the team and Jesse Palmer and Rex Grossman and Brock Berlin and Robert Gillespie and Ernest Graham and Mike Pearson saying, hey man, don't mess this up. What? Don't mess this up. Because my freshman year, we win the SEC. That was Coach Spurrier's last SEC championship. The next year, right, because of 9/11, we don't win the SEC, but we go play in the Orange Bowl. It's like there's a level of excellence and a standard that was so it was intimidating because you did not want to be the reason why it came down. So if you are everybody wants to play at Florida until you got to produce. That's what they used to tell us. Everybody wants to have them numbers on until your number matters. Now they calling your number. Now let's see. Hey man, I think we got some guys. Derek Wingo and company at the linebacker position. You got to take what Ventrell and Amari Burney told y'all and apply it. I don't know who's going to play safety. Kamari Wilson and company. Hey man, first 5-star recruit in a long time. First IMG player. Got to go out there and get it done. The corner's got to get it done. And Princely, I can't even say Princely's last name. I'm going to butcher it. It's Princely.
Just say Princely. We know you don't like it.
But buddy, I'm there in 2002 when Steve Spurrier leaves, and you know what everybody thought? Florida's gonna go 6-6. Ron Zook's first year. We went 8-5 the next 2 years, but that scrutiny is gonna happen on me. If Tim Tebow's little brother is coming out, same scrutiny. Because them boys up there in Athens, and them boys in Tuscaloosa, and them boys in Baton Rouge, you got to find a way to beat them. Because it's gonna be much to do about nothing if you can't beat those guys. I got faith in us, and I think we're gonna turn some heads. And Larry, I see what you said. How about the recruit some tight ends? Look, hey, Zip and company, they're gonna have to find a way to get it done. Because just because you athletic at the tight end position doesn't mean they're gonna throw you the rock. That wasn't in the NIL deal, and that wasn't in the National Letterman 10 either. You got to go out there and earn it.
Everybody's seeing this running game taking shape, and we're looking at these. I did my column tonight on this new offensive line. I got a couple of nicknames for them. As you know, the I-75 Road Gritters being one. I got another one, maybe better, call it the Groundhog Gators, because these guys are, listen to these two deep. This is Fran said it. Left tackle Austin Barber and Keontae Goodman. Barber, by the way, is a mere 6'6", 312. Goodman is 6'8", 360. All right. Mm-hmm. Left guard Richie Leonard, 6'2", 320, just a midget. Behind him, Roderick Kearney, 6'2", 315. Then the middle is Kingsley Iguanan, who's a midget at 6'3", 301. Jake Slaughter from Ocala, 6'5", 300. Right guard, they got him from Baylor, I believe it was, Micah Mazuka, 335. And Christian Williams behind him, 6'4", 314. And finally, Jamie and George from Alabama, 6'7", 348. Behind him, Cameron Waite, 6'8", 370. I just did a quick mirror of what the offensive line size is there and what it was the Kansas City Chiefs. These guys are bigger. They're bigger. And the Chiefs got a couple of 6'8" guys. But so I don't know if sizes and everything.
What, buddy? What do they got to do to get a shirt? The I-75 Road Graders. What they got to do to get a shirt?
I guess we're going to have to make one up. We're going to work on it.
I mean, but it's the thing though, buddy. They can't just get one.
No.
It's like because in a sense, right? Listen, old teammate Shannon Snell, shout out to Shannon Snell, giving the boys Sunday barbecue. Yeah. It's almost like saying
he's feeding them. Yeah.
Oh, he's feeding them. But that offensive line, man, they got to listen. I don't like nice offensive linemen. I don't like nice defensive linemen. I want them to not like people, right? Be people movers, be people eaters. And if our O-line and D-line can be the if that could be the heart and soul of the team in 2023, we got a shot to be real good. Because if it is not, it's gonna be a long Listen, Harbaugh up there at Michigan, you ain't getting that type of patience no more. They gave him almost 10 years to get it right. Now, he's won the Big Ten the last 2 years, right? Made it to the college football playoff or whatever. But guess what? You don't get 9 years in Florida to get it right. You know who gets rid of their coach every 4 years, good or bad? Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt
really?
gets rid of their coach every 4 years. The nerve of it. So, I mean, Harsin said, hey, we don't make excuses. Guess what? They beat Kentucky. They beat Florida. They need to beat Tennessee to make a bowl game. Tennessee said not happening. Send them home. So, almost made it 6 games.
Well, I work on the road graders thing, okay, and I'm trying to get a picture of a road grader, and I've even suggested perhaps they go and talk to John Deere or Caterpillar, right, and get an NIL deal for these boys and get them going. This offensive line thing. So I've got a picture here. I don't know if this is even a road grader, but this is one of them I got. I'll see right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's a big boy right there, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of look, right?
That's nice.
Something like that. So yeah. So
I thought it was gonna be one of the big green ones. They got the big neon.
Well, yeah. I don't know if that's the right one. It just kind of gives you an idea. That's probably not even a road grader, but that's the limit of my technology.
I'm from the country to where you might see one bad boy driving down the road. See, we got them back roads, so we ain't got real roads. So he might be driving down the road, and you taking up a lane and a half. You got to be smart enough to drive on the side of the road. He don't get out your way, you get out his way. That's how it goes.
Because he gonna run you over. That's what he's gonna do.
That's right. Listen, and if you hit him and the police come, they're gonna look at you and go, "Did you see him coming down the road? Yeah. So what are you doing? Get your behind over."
I tell you, this is the kind of mentality we need, though, right here on this whole thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this. Let's go ahead and get our sponsor on here, and then France is waiting in the orange and blue room, who has a few things to say, no doubt, about this offensive line, and what are his storylines? Coming up next right here on Buddy Martin Show.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, thanks very much. Let's go to the orange and blue room and see our buddy Franz Beard, hardworking man, will join the crew tonight. We're talking ball and talking storylines, and I know Francis has got a bunch of them as well. Good evening, Franz. How you doing?
Another day in paradise.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben's kind of fired up about the football season and the spring ball, and we're talking now about obviously the storylines and that big old road grader. There's probably another name for this, but this is what the offensive line needs to adopt right there. The I-75 road graders. France, you written a good bit about the offensive line and about the new one and the regrouping, and you had some thoughts in your column today.
I actually think that this could be a better offensive line than last year, and last year was a pretty darn good offensive line. I look at it, okay, Michael Tarquin is gone, and they didn't lose anything. I mean, I know he's a local kid and everything like that, and I don't wish him ill will or anything like that, but he wasn't as good as Austin Barber, who was better than Gourage, and Michael Tarquin wasn't as good as Gourage. They're going to get what's going to be interesting is this: if Keontae Goodwin has lost the weight, he's the highest rated offensive lineman in the history of Kentucky. He's come in a bit. I think came in about 6'7", 370, 6'7.5", 370, 6'8". They'd like him to be about 355, 360. If he's down at that weight, they can move the Alabama kid, Damian George. They can move him inside. Now, he played some at guard in a reserve role in 2021 for Alabama. He's 6'7", 348. they can move him into the left guard position. I understand they're going to move Micah Mazkua, who played left guard at Baylor, but Billy likes a right-handed running team. He's got right-handed quarterbacks, and he likes running right to the right side. Believe it or not, but I mean, I'll just throw, I know this is a trivia thing nobody wants to hear, but you take the 1977, it was after the 76 season, Super Bowl, and the Oakland Raiders go in there to play the Minnesota Vikings in there, and Stabler was a left-handed quarterback, and for some reason the Vikings never adjusted to the fact they ran Clem Daniels left side the whole time. And they asked John Madden afterward, they said, well, why were you doing that? He said, I got a left-handed quarterback. That's why we do it. And Billy likes to run the right side. You look at almost all of his stuff last year. Of course, he had Torrance on the right side, and he puts his best run blockers on the right side. And that's what they're going to be. They're going to be a right-handed running team. Throw to the left, run to the right. But they could be, if DeAndre, I mean, gosh, Damian George, I got DeAndre on my mind for some reason. If Damian George can move inside, they can move Mazkua to the right side. Austin Barber is going to be the left tackle. If Keontae George can be that right tackle, then they're going to really be something.
Right.
That will be an offensive line. That will be 6'6", 325, 6'7", 348. Kingsley is 6'3", 310. Then you go 6'6", 340, and then you go 6'8", 370, 360, something like that.
Yep.
That is one massive offensive line. And I got to tell you what, guys, this is why I think, I started really researching what Billy did his second year. You know what they did at Louisiana his second year? They ran to the right. He had 4 running backs. They ran to the right. 3 of them are already in the NFL. The 4th one will be after this draft. And they ran to the right, averaged 257 yards a game. They lowered their points against by 2 touchdowns. They raised their points for by a full touchdown. They dominated. They had, 75 more first downs in 2019 than they had in 2018. The blueprint is there, and it was at Louisiana, and that's what they're going to do this year. They're going to run the ball, throw it over the top. He had a midget for a quarterback, this kid Levi Lewis, who maybe 5, goodness, I could post him up. That's how bad, and I'm 71 years old. Buddy could post him up.
I wouldn't go that far.
But you run the ball.
I could trip him.
Then you got a small Then you have a small quarterback whose best job is taking care of the ball, and he throws it over the top.
Yeah,
that's what
I think play action.
That's why he let Graham Hurts.
Yeah, play action is going to be a really interesting part of that. We're going to get on here in a minute with Lauren Meadows, the coach. And then we're going to talk about storylines. And France, you had one. Talk about your piece that you got and some of the storylines. And Ben, you had several there. I know on the defense you want to bring up, and then we'll get Lauren in here. What was the piece that you wrote today? Tell them about this on Gator Bait now. By the way, if you're not a member, you need to be. Go to GatorBaitMedia.com. Sign on. We're getting new people. We got 8 new ones yesterday. Keep on coming, folks. We need your help. France, what's your piece about?
Well, for the magazine, it's about the Billy Napier knows exactly what he's doing. I did the research, buddy. The parallels and the similarities are just his 2018 team. They lost 4 ball games they should have won, like last possession type games. What does that sound like? Does that sound like 2022 Florida? They lost games they lost some games they shouldn't have. They gave up chunk plays. They gave up a lot of yards. They couldn't get the other team off the field on 3rd down. Gee, that sounds an awful lot like the 2022 Gators.
So what does that portend in 23? What does that pretend in
So
23?
what
Yeah.
in 23? What they did in 2019 was they ran the ball, threw it over the top. They took care of it. They got more first downs. They ground people into a pulp, and they dominated the fourth quarter of ball games.
Right.
What you're going to see?
That's what I think we're going to see.
We're going to see
I
this
think
year.
we are too. Let's bring this guy in and see if he agrees. And Lauren, add your 2 cents worth, and Ben, to that assessment. Is it going to be a grounded pound offense? And can they put it together that fast? So we'll start with you, Ben, and we'll go to Lauren.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can put it together. I think the thing about running the football is it makes everybody's life easy. Everybody, quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, and if what Fran says is right, if our offensive line can be better 2023 to 2022, the offense is going to be more potent because when you got a guy like Anthony Richards at the quarterback position, you're going to call different type plays because of what you got. Like, he can do stuff that nobody else can do. Well, I've never seen Graham or, Jack Miller, but I know they ain't Anthony Richardson. So, if I got the 2-headed monster at running back, preferably a 3-headed monster at running back, depending on who that third guy is going to be, if those guys can come together in the spring and in the summer and the fall, that means that Pearsall is going to come wide open. He's a route running freaking receiver if you can give him the rock. The tight end position is going to be a question mark until proven. Otherwise, does Xavier Henderson take the next step? But if you got a solid running game, nobody wants to play those type teams. Just know that. If I know we ain't talked about defense yet, but if we can run the ball, that play action gonna be better. That means that guys care about getting the rock thrown to them. I don't know. It's probably gonna be 60-40, more like 65-35 run the pass. But it's about to be an efficient pass game, and I like it. Like I said, as a guy who definitely wanted to get the ball thrown to him, I want to win more than I want to do anything else. And running is going to help us get the wins quicker, seal wins with 3-4 minutes left in the game. But yeah, if they better in 2023 and the I-75 road graders can live up to the name, hey man, at the end of the day, man, I don't want to be stat compilers. You look good in the box score, but the final score is more points for the other team. Nah. Everybody should hope to take a big step in year 2 because Montreal and Etienne, hey man, they the 1-2 combination. It's gonna come down to that O-line, and if they want to run the ball, to the right side, whoever got to fill Osiris Torrance shoes, may God help you. Because I don't care how good you play, you ain't gonna play that good. They just don't make guards like that. And this kid was the #1 guard in the Sun Belt. Had he never come to the SEC, he was that good at Louisiana. So. But I like our chance. Like I said, O-line, I said it before friends and Lauren came on. If the O-line and D-line from Florida is the heart and soul of the team, we got a shot to be really, really good. Doesn't mean we're going to beat Georgia. I'm not saying that. But we got a shot to look really, really good if the O-line and D-line, can kind of take the reins and kind of be the heart and soul of the squad.
Lauren, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think, obviously Billy Napier has made no secret that he wants to run the football. That's the kind of identity he wants for his football team. And, like I said, looking at it from a former receiver standpoint, it's going to open up passing lanes. I think Mertz or Miller both, whoever kind of comes out of that competition, or it could be somebody else. I think that, running the football will open up the passing lanes, allow for some easy completions that I thought were there last year. And unfortunately, Anthony Richardson just didn't take them all during, at times and things like that. But I mean, if we can be a football team that can stop people on third down, maximize our possessions, and then run the football, I think that's the recipe that Billy Napier wants to use for his football team. I think he's got the, I think he's got the scheme for it. And like you said, I mean, the offensive line is as big as can be, and like you mentioned, Corey Raymond, probably the 2 most impressive members of the staff, at least to me, that I've interacted with or had an opportunity to really watch is Darnell Stapleton and Rob Sale. I think they do a great job with that offensive line. They challenge them, they get after them, and it's a wonder why you can see how Osiris Torrance, under their tutelage, was able to improve to an NFL first-round draft pick. And yeah, I mean, I agree with Franz too. There's some enticing, there's some interesting young men coming in, particularly the young man from Kentucky, who I've heard from Kentucky people, kind of just needs a little fire lit under him. And I think Rob Sale could be the person to do that, and the young man could reach that 5-star potential. So, yeah, I like the direction they're going.
All right, France, we talked about defense. Listen, I didn't like the defense last year. I didn't like it 2 years ago. And I'm not a fan of Tony. He probably is a really good coach. He didn't show me much. I think Corey Raymond is a dynamic coach. I think Ben said it best earlier in the program. Having him there now, being overseeing the corners and safeties, is a plus because it's one voice. I don't know what happened on third down. It was terrible last year. It was worse 2 years before. I'm not sure. The defense has got to get better, friends. How they're going to do it?
Well, one thing they're going to do is they're going to get better because I don't think they're going to be on the field as much this year because I think they're going to control the football. I go back to the Great Wall of Florida in 1984. They just totally ground people to death. Kerwin Bell only had to throw 174 passes that year, but he threw 174 passes for 17 touchdowns. You throw in a touchdown pass every 10 passes, you're having one whale of a year. And they just ran the ball, 3 first-round running backs. They had Lomas Brown, Zimmerman, Phil Bromley, the most underrated center I think I've ever seen, Billy Henson, and on the right side, oh gosh, who was the right tackle? Scott Trimble was on the right side. That was a tremendous offensive line. They just blocked out the sun, and they controlled the football. That defense, which was a great defense, but they were only on the field for a little bit of time. I think the Great Wall controlled the ball. Florida had the ball 34 minutes a game. And 8 minutes may not seem like much, but that's half a quarter more that you've got the football in your hands. And that's wearing people out. And it was a great situation. And I think that's what they'd like to get to. Now, can they do it? That's the question. They've got to. But I'll give you a good example of what I think about Rob Sale. I think Lauren brought up a good thing about him. He took a guy named Max Mitchell that nobody wanted out of Neville High School in Monroe, Louisiana. Came there 6'6" and a pudgy 293. He was a second-round draft pick last year. Coming out of Louisiana. Max Mitchell. They turned a guy that nobody wanted into a second-rounder. They take Torrance out of Greensburg, St. Helena Central. Another guy that not a lot of people wanted. They thought he was just a fat guy. And he comes in there, he shapes his body, he starts eating better, for one thing. He lived in a trailer that he could literally hold his arms out like that and hit both sides of the trailer. Lived with his grandma. And all of a sudden he gets in there and gets a good diet and starts eating well. And looks what happens. He transforms his body, and next thing you know, you have, as Ben just pointed out, a guard that is molded by the angels in heaven. My gosh, what a guy. But that's how they're going to do it. They'll be better because that year of experience, etc., like that. They're going to be better. But what's going to make them better as well is they're not going to be on the field as much. And last year, when they couldn't get off the field on third down, and when your offense is off and on like it was, somebody made mention the other day of Anthony Richardson's, last passes in the game against Tennessee, in the game against Vanderbilt, in the game against FSU. Wide open receivers in all 3 games, and his last pass, he overshot all of them. You got to have somebody who can make that pass.
All right,
and that's another way.
All right, great points.
Your defense gets better.
All right, great points, all of you. Now, here's the thing. You can say all that, and we can talk about, Ben, you mentioned defensive line, new scheme, Austin Armstrong, etc. And the one element that I'm probably most concerned about, besides the experience of I think there's talent there, is the leadership. leadership on his team, including the coaches and the players. We have to see if Mertz or Miller has that leadership gene. They got to have it. Anthony could have been better in that department. Defensively, the leaders, Ventrell, Miller, they're gone. Who's going to lead? Ben, how about leadership, and who are going to be the leaders on that defense particularly?
I mean, I think too often at times when people talk about the leadership, the first thing they want to do is go through the quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, they're the one that run the offense, they're the one that call the plays, but maybe it's going to come from the offensive line. Because the one thing that we don't give O'Cyrus Torrence enough credit for is how great of a leader he was. He wasn't a rah-rah guy, but talk to anybody on the team about him. Hey, man, did everything he was supposed to. Leadership, to me, the best leadership is what you do, not what you say. Anybody can yell and scream, and anybody can do that. But if your play ain't matching that, man, you're going to lose more players than a coach ever would. I think the leadership is going to have to come from how you play, not what you say. The coaches do the talking. I get it. And who knows? It could be a Kamari Wilson. Because he's going to be thrust. They put him in a bad position last year. He was in a no-win situation. It could be Marshall, right? It could be Princely on the D-line. It could be Big Dads on the D-line. But the best teams have more than one leader. You don't want one guy. You want to be multiple guys. You want to be that way. You the one thing that we didn't understand with what Alex Brown and Gerard Warren and Kenyatta Walker, Zach Sedalis, what they taught us how to do is lead by committee. It wasn't just one guy. And I think that's what Florida going to have to be. You don't have an O'Cyrus Torrence this year. You don't have a dominant offensive player like Anthony Richardson. You're going to have to do it by committee. And I'm looking forward to see who it's going to be. Because if you're on the D-line, you see what happens when one bad apple, they'll get you out of there. I love Brenton Cox. But so you've learned from something. You learned. And if Derek Wingo and those guys ain't learned from Ventrell and Amari, I mean, you're not going to get leaders like that. So I think it's going to be leadership by committee because I don't know if Graham Mertz, I don't know if he's just a natural rah-rah quarterback because he's the quarterback or Jack Miller. They always make quarterback. Hey, man, you got to be the first guy in, the last guy out. Yeah. Well, what if I'm not that type of guy? What if I just watch film and go home? So I hope it is by committee. And I hope it's one of those things to listen. I was thrust into the leadership role my senior year. I wasn't all in guys' faces, but sometimes leaders are the ones pulling guys up and saying, "Hey, man, listen, we're gonna need you. I know you ain't got the type of role you got." There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I really don't care who it is as long as it's not fake. If it's genuine leadership,
that's fair.
But you give me that say one thing and do another, that's not gonna work out.
I hear you. You know, Lauren, a friend of mine, we were having a discussion about church a couple weeks ago. A friend of mine in New York, and we talked about sometimes you can't go. You got to, you want to stay home in that day and do some things and listen to Dr. Charles Stanley or whoever your favorite TV person is, which you do a lot. And I said, I've really enjoyed listening to Dr. Stanley a good bit because we have not always been able to go. And I bring this up because it fits in what we're talking about here. And my friend said, you know what, buddy? Going to church is not just for you. You go to church for other people, too. You got to play for other people, Lauren. You know that. And that's the question. Do we have enough on this team, especially on defense? I'll give you a shot at the question, who will lead the defense?
Well, it's funny. Let me answer this first. Robert Turner asked who was BYU's quarterback when they won a national championship. That would be one Robbie Bosco. But I was going to say with leadership, like Ben said, there's two ways that you lead. You lead by example, and you lead by accountability. And what I mean by that is, like you said, you can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but you got to go out there and make plays. And you not only make plays so you make yourself look good and others get excited, but because you have a job to do on that defense or that offense. And if you don't do your job, then the team does not succeed. So, I mean, I would look at guys like, for instance, two guys that'll be, everybody loves to talk about holding the edge. So you got guys like Princely Umanyalan and Antoine Powell-Ryland that will be guys that have played defense, have played in some situations that could be key there. I look for Ricky Pearsall in his second year in the program to kind of be a leader for the offense and kind of a quiet example guy, but somebody that not only a lot of fans seem to like, but guys that teammates seem to really like as well. Always in the right place at the right time. And then you look at someone like hopefully he's healthy. Keon Zipper, somebody who's been through the trials and things like that. So I look for kind of those guys. Those would be if I had to pick two on offense, two on defense, I would say the two edge guys, and then like a Pearsall and a Zipper outside of the obvious, the quarterbacks as well. And like I said, a lot of times is with quarterbacks, I think like I said, leading by example. But if you could come in and throw completions and move the chains, I think whoever that is going to endear themselves to the football team and be elevated to kind of that situation where people want to follow. So
right, good points. Now here's the thing, friends. We didn't mention any transfers or incoming other than Mertz, and there could be somebody whose name we hadn't even thought of who could be an underclassman transfer who might step on this field and suddenly he might be the one that leads his team. What do you see there, friends? Anything in the newbies?
Teraj Mitchell coming in from Ohio State. Linebacker, and everything I've heard already is he has stepped in and he has told the guys, we are not going to be as bad as we were last year. We are going to be the most improved defense going, and you're going to follow my example and hear what I say and watch what I do. And as I understand it, he has endeared everybody in that direction. I have also heard extremely good things about the kid from Baylor, Micah Mazkua, who came in here. As I understand it, he's kind of like what Ben said. He isn't going to say a lot, but he's going to impress you with how hard he works, and he's going to come in there, and when he does talk, people are going to listen. And that's another guy that I think is going to do it. I'll tell you a guy that's on the team, and he has got to lead this year. Has to. And that is Kingsley Eguakun. He has got to lead. He is the center. He's been a 2-year starter there. First off, he can't have false starts. I think he set a world record for false starts by a center last year.
Yeah, really.
I had never heard of a center's doing false starts until Kingsley last year. And last year, he set the world record, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. But he has got to lead because that's his offensive line. 2 years as a starter. This will be his third year. He knows the system. He's been in it a year. He's the guy that we're going to have 3 newbies on that line. He's got to be the guy that says, you do it this way.
Great points.
They better do it.
Great point. Great points for everybody tonight. You guys are really sharp. Let's do a quick report card around the horn real fast and upgrade on the expectations on the basis points of a 10. We've given out report cards. Last week we got Shane to join us, and he was higher than all of us. He was an 8th. We all had we're lower. We're going to go around the horn again, and we're going to give a number of expectation points. What's it going to be? I'm going to start out tonight and say I'm raising mine just a little bit based on those last couple of days and things I've been hearing and reading and thinking. I'm going to go to a 6.75 on my expectation points. Okay, Ben?
I'll still go like 7.5. I like what I heard from the new D coordinator saying, I'm gonna adjust to y'all. I'm not gonna make y'all adjust to me. I mean, because he's understanding. Listen, I don't have a lot of time to endear myself with these young men. I got to get as many points on the board as I possibly can. And I like what Fran said about the center, man. I mean, you got it. The center the center don't got to be the best.
That was a great point about France. You're right.
He has to be the smartest. And like I said, man, I mean, I love him, and I say this with all the respect in the world. I had Ron Zook for 2 years. And when I tell people people just thought that Florida was going to just fall off the turnip truck. That's it. It's a wrap. Spurrier's gone. Now, we went 8-5 my last 2 years, but I would put my senior year team up against a lot of teams that came after us, because what happens is, unfortunately, expectations outside of Gainesville aren't that high anymore, which is fine. But then you go out there and make it happen. Pearsall is the biggest addition this offseason coming back. He's going to help that passing game go. But I'll go 7.5. I mean, we still got to get a wide receivers coach. Corey Raymond coaching the whole DB room, I think is excellent, because now you got one voice. And I might change mine. I said, who's going to be the two leaders on offense? Give me the two running backs. Give me ETN.
I could say nobody mentioned them. Yeah.
I think those two dudes can be the leaders on the figure out.
There you go. All right, Lauren, your turn.
So, I'm going to be the pessimist of the bunch. I told you I was a 5, and then I went.
No, you upgraded. You upgraded.
But I did. That's what I'm saying. I spoke with some people at Spurs on Monday, and it's funny, man. A lot of people that, I would consider a little closer than myself to the inner workings of the program. I mean, they really, really feel like Billy Napier's on the right track, and he's got the right plan and everything. So I was a 5 because I tend to be hard on coaches. So I upped it to a 6. So right now, where I'm gonna stand pat. And I'm from Ohio, but I probably should have been from Missouri, because you're gonna have to show me. So right now, I'm a 6.
All right, Darren Duke gets to anchor it and bring it in. And Francis, what's your number, buddy?
As he should.
Yeah.
It's a set. I'm going to stay at 7.5, but it is an optimistic 7.5 that should go higher.
Trending over.
It's the spring. We'll know a lot more in a month when we can finally see who's really taken over. Is Graham Mertz the guy? I think Graham Mertz was brought in here for one reason, and I think that is to hand the ball off, read the defense, and throw the ball over the top.
And throw play action passes, yeah.
I think they have simplified it like that, and I think he and Ricky Pearsall are going to be best buddies, because Ricky Pearsall can run a fly pattern like nobody you've ever seen. And he can run that slant, and those are throws that this guy can make. And if you can run the football, the slant is going to be open all day long. Steve Spurrier made a living off of that, and the reason he did was everybody says, well, all they did was throw the ball. They always had people who could run it, and the threat of the running game always made the slant open, because that linebacker can't hedge and drop on the slant, which means you're running it right in front of the safeties. And Ricky Pearsall is going to have, I think he's going to have a 50 catch year, 1,000 yards, and I think he's going to really do something. But I think, look, Billy Napier knows what he's doing. He got a blueprint for what he needs to do at Louisiana. You look at what happened in 2018, look at how they improved in 2019, and it was Katie bar the door after that. They became the team nobody wanted to play. And I think that this guy knows what he's doing. Nick Saban didn't hire him twice because he doesn't know what he's doing.
All right, Robert Turner was an 8. And also, Larry Gross is dropping to a 5.5. And earlier in the week, last week, Shane gave an 8. So I can't do the math in my mind. I'm not fast enough. So there you go. Guys, great show tonight. Terrific job. Appreciate it very much. Ben, 84 Reasons. Don't forget his podcast. Lauren will be seeing your piece soon in the magazine. And Francis has his in tonight early. What a good boy he is. And Ben actually found the link tonight. Man, I tell you what, we were doing good here. Our group, we're doing, it's called leadership. You know what I'm saying?
I paid my Wi-Fi bill. What can I say? I paid
That's a big deal at my house.
Let me throw one thing in before we go.
All right, real quick.
Georgia is going to blow up. I've talked to enough people right now who are telling me that this deal with Jalen Carter and having left the scene, and this is the fourth big incident. Stetson Bennett, they had another guy that got drunk, then they had the guys get killed, and now with Jalen Carter, This thing is bigger than anybody can believe or imagine. And as Matt Hayes wrote today, and so have other people, Mike Griffin, another one, saying, hey, the house of cards could be coming down at Georgia if Kirby Smart doesn't get a handle on it in a hurry.
It wasn't that long ago people were saying Urban Meyer had a bunch of jailbirds and a bunch of crooks, and he couldn't keep his players out of trouble. Gosh, the wind has shifted somewhat. Wish him all the best. It's a serious situation, so all the best. We don't want to see anybody lose their life anytime, ever, about anything. Guys, great job. Appreciate it, friends. Lauren, Ben, have a good week. We'll talk to you next week. Orange and Blue Blood. Thank you, buddies. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, folks. Appreciate you watching and listening to the program. Thanks to our sponsors. Of course, main one tonight on Orange and Blue Bloods being Titan MRI. Titan MRI. Worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance, no problem. You pay with cash or card. Same day scheduling. TitanMRI.com. Check them out and find out why they're going from all over North Central Florida to Titan MRI. And I want to thank, obviously, our friends at Meldon Law, and then our good friends at over at Renstar Medical Research. So we appreciate all their support. Renstar, of course, has a high-quality patient-centered clinical research facility right here in Ocala, where a number of people come and take part in their trials, and they have research trials regularly in Ocala, and you can get cutting-edge technology there. If you want to be a part of it, go to renstar.net, find out how to join. Some cases they compensate you for your time and travel. And since 1998, Renstar has participated in more than 700 clinical research trials, continues to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry to find out how we can better our health. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Have a great weekend, folks. Thanks a lot for your support.